Trust the Profits is proud to be sponsored by Game of Silks. Go to silks.io to get in the game. Real ownership, real races, real rewards.
It's the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and my Detroit Lions are still alive. Bada boom, bada bing. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. It is NFL playoff time. And, you know, the wild card weekend just happened. I've got my guy Vinny Blonde with me here tonight. I'm coming off a 4-2 week. We'll get into that. It's been a good few weeks here on my side as far as betting goes, but I want to talk about this real quick because there was a lot of emotion involved for Vincenzo and myself last week, including his Philadelphia Eagles, who he had kind of lost faith in, the Dallas Cowboys, who we both hate, the Detroit Lions, who's my team and my love and my pride and joy right now, and so many other storylines. Vinny, how's it going tonight?
It's going all right. Yeah. Eagles are out. I think we all kind of predicted this a couple weeks ago, that they weren't going to go very far, and they didn't.
Yeah, they backed in, and they looked even worse than I think we feared. I think we kind of gave them a shot because of the matchup with Tampa.
Yeah, they just first 3 plays Tampa ran. I mean, they couldn't. The defense basically, it seemed like it pretty much given up on the coaching. Bradbury couldn't tackle anybody. I mean, he was playing 2-hand touch. That was terrible. And the offense was just going through motions. They looked terrible. And the Baker just had his way with us. So here we are.
And so I'm sorry your team got knocked out. I'm used to that as a Lions fan, but I will say this, mutually, we all benefited from the Dallas Cowboys looking like a complete abortion on the field. I mean, that was just, hang on, moment of applause for them. Thank you, Jerry Jones up in the booth crying. Dak Prescott doing his usual first round exodus. He sucks. The Cowboys suck. Cowboys fans suck. F you all. All right, I said our piece. That's got to make you feel better as an Eagles fan, just watching them. Because they were equally as embarrassed.
Oh yeah, I said to you before we went on. I texted my buddy after the Dallas game saying this is going to make us losing on Monday sting a little bit less. It's great. It's always a great year when Dallas doesn't win. So
absolutely. I hope so many storylines. With Tampa Bay kind of backdooring into the playoffs out of the bad division. We talked about it all season. But, hey, they earned a win. Baker's done enough. They deserve to be here, folks. Whether I had a conversation with somebody today about this is why, the Lions, and we were talking about the Bills. He's a Bills fan. And we were, cutting it up. And I said, I guess that's why the final 8 teams are the final 8 teams. And he goes, well, yeah, the final 7 teams. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, Tampa doesn't really count as one of the final 8 teams. And I'm like, the NFC was kind of weak after. I mean, you had your, 6 or 7 dominant teams all year. And then Green Bay, you cannot call them weak. They're a different team than they were at the beginning of the year. And we'll get into that. But Tampa, too. Tampa, they just did enough. They were in a bad division. It's not their fault. And they come in and they beat Philly, who at one point I was getting argued with as the best team in the NFC earlier in the year. So they deserve it, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we've been saying on this show for last 6 weeks, the NFC feels like whoever gets hot at the right time is going to come out. And I mean, why not? I mean,
I'm starting to fear Green Bay a little bit as a Lions fan for that very reason.
I mean, one of these teams is going to get hot, and if it's not San Francisco, I mean, in reality, I feel like San Francisco is like that, 3 to 5 favorite in horse racing right now to win the NFC. But the others all the others all have a path. So San Francisco's proven this year they're not unbeatable.
Yeah, and we'll touch on the futures odds for Super Bowl winners, and you'll see the Niners, and they should be the heavy favorites right now, but like you said, a 3 to 5 favorite in horse race. How often do you bet those? I mean, you really got to love them.
Oh,
and in this field, I don't think they have that big of an advantage. Before we jump into the 4 games this weekend, let's take a look at the year-to-date results. And folks, our first full year of doing this, I'm happy to report a 54.6% Win percentage overall with a plus 1070 if you bet $100 a game or $100 a bet. 4-2 last week. I mean, what more can you ask for? We were profitable this year. I know there's better guys out there. I know there's liars out there who post fake statistics, but we've been putting this out here publicly all year. And Vinny, too, 54.3%, plus 380 on a much smaller sample. We're doing the best we can, and we're hitting it, and we're winning so far. Vinny's a little bit of a skid in the playoffs, but
yeah,
we were talking, Vinny, about prop bets, which we don't get into much. Maybe we'll get more into that next year, but
yeah, the Lions. At one point I really thought the Lions are going to cover the 3-point spread, and I mean they won. I said they'd win. You were right; they were going to win a close one. So I took the spread, and that hurt me. And then couldn't have predicted what happened to the Browns. That was just
that was crazy.
That was a shame. That was a shame on me. Bet playing trusting the Cleveland Browns
I'm pretty sure if I look back, I stepped off of that game completely, but not because I didn't trust the Browns. Like I liked the Browns too. I definitely saw your angle on the Browns there. I don't think anybody saw that ass whooping coming, especially the way Flacco had been playing.
Yep, and then I mean I took the spread with Pittsburgh, and that last drive, I mean they had a chance to backdoor cover it, and they didn't. So
I was on Pittsburgh too. That was one of my 2 losses there.
So what are you gonna do? I mean, the Lions get one more. They kick one field goal there near the end of the game, and they cover. So
I stayed away from the emotional bets on the Lions game because for obvious reasons. I was sitting there crying with my dad and my resting in peace Uncle Tom, who's been gone for a few years. I was wishing he would have been there to see that, but that's how emotional a pathetic Lions fan gets over a first round win in the playoffs, which we hadn't had in 30 plus years.
Yeah, they were showing they were showing what was his name, Benjamin, there in the crowd, 66 years.
Ticket holder, 100-year-old guy or whatever he was.
Yeah, 66 years having season tickets.
I mean, come on, dude.
How
do you not get a little emotional? And then Stafford came in there and he gave us the dogfight we expected. That's why I was afraid of that game in every respect. I'm pretty sure my numbers told me to bet the Rams cover, but Lions win, and that's what happened. But I wasn't going to touch that because it's too emotionally engaged. Do not bet on emotions.
That was a fun game too. It was one of the better games I thought this weekend.
Yep. And a lot of storylines, man. You love to see it, and I think this weekend's going to be great too. Let's get into it right here. First game of the weekend is Saturday afternoon, 4:30 p.m. Houston Texans, baby. That's a story. If we want to get into stories, we can talk about them all night. But going into Baltimore, who is the toughest, in my opinion, probably the most well-rounded team in the league. Number 1 seed in the AFC. Man, they're just good on offense, good on defense, great coaching. What do you want from them? And then you got Houston, who is coming in. This is a team, I think they're dangerous, Vinny, because I don't think they really expect to win. And they're going to be that team who's going to be doing circus, whatever it takes, circus act plays, fake punts, this type of thing, because they probably know in reality they're outclassed, but this is a once in a lifetime shot for some of these guys. What do you think? Where'd you come out on this game?
Yeah, I like the over here personally. I saw enough last weekend with the way they just manhandled the Browns defense, which Browns defense hadn't been great on the road this year, but I mean they just anything they wanted to do. I mean Stroud was great. Incredible. I don't see where this team isn't going to put up in the 20s in points. Baltimore is Baltimore. Baltimore's probably going to score 28 to 30 points. I think this 44.5 is a little low, so I'm going to go with the over in this game.
No bets on the spread.
No. I like you said, the Texans are a scary team because they really have. Like, they are just out there to play. There is zero pressure on them. You got a rookie head coach. You got a rookie head coach, a rookie quarterback. This franchise probably thought they were going to win 5 or 6 games this year. Here they are now in the divisional round, and a lot of pressure on Baltimore here. Here you are again as a 1 seed. Lamar is 1-4 career or 1-3 or something like that in the playoffs. Baltimore's got a ton of pressure to win this game, while Houston's just going to go out there and they're just going to play ball. I would not be surprised if this ends up like early on, Houston strikes first. And Baltimore, we have to see what happens with Baltimore. So I'm going to go with the over here. I think this is going to be a fun little shootout.
Yeah, dude, this is a crazy game to me because on paper, yes, the Ravens should kick the shit out of them, honestly. But man, I cannot bring myself to bet this game for that reason. It could go wildly either way. Baltimore could show up and just prove that they're the best team in the NFL, which I think they are, and they could hammer Houston, a big wake-up call. But the way Stroud's been playing, and the way, like I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, about they really, and you said it too, they really have they're playing with house money right now. It's kind of like walking up to a roulette wheel, and the first bet you place, you win $500 or some number, and now you got a bunch of money you didn't expect to have, and now you can just shove all in and do fake punts, fake onside kicks, some crazy stuff, take some chances with fourth downs, these types of things that makes them extra dangerous. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be in the game or beat the Ravens, but I think they're dangerous because of that, right?
Yeah, and I honestly I think that's kind of what happened to them in Cleveland. I mean, I know the Browns ended up falling apart, but like it was 14-10 at one point, and then Houston kind of just answered right back and took the lead again. And like that drive, even though it was super early in the game, it was just like, oh, like they're not going away. Like Cleveland's in trouble here. It was like one of those things, kind of like when you watch like boxing or something, and like the guy who's supposed to win gets knocked down. It's like, oh, like this guy is actually here to fight. So I really think Houston's going to put up a nice little fight here.
Yeah, for that reason, I've got no bets. Vinny's taking the over, correct?
Yep, I'm going to take the over.
So we're
here.
both kind of afraid of the spread here, but yeah, I can't get with either one of these bets in this game. It's the only game I don't bet on in this weekend. But I can fully understand anybody's approach on any of the four bets here, because you could make a case for any direction of this game. I can't, because my numbers tell me, to be honest, 26-17 Baltimore, which is a 43-point game.
Yeah, very close.
Over 40. Yeah, I'm right on Vegas, so it's not a bettable game for me. Let's move to the NFC Saturday night game, 8:15. Maybe the hottest and scariest team in the NFL right now. I mean, Green Bay Packers. And as a Lions fan, I've seen them twice this year. I know what I saw, and I saw a struggling young team at the beginning of the year, and then when they came back and played the Lions later in the season, a completely different team. Jordan Love was a completely different player, and then they just went in and just hammered Dallas. And once again, thank you, Green Bay. And as a Lions fan, obviously I hate Green Bay, but I hate Dallas even worse. So that was fun to watch. But they're going into who's unquestionably the best team in the NFC all year, the Niners. Kind of like the Ravens all year. We watched them, they had a little lull there in the middle of the season where they lost a couple and got questioned. But man, when the Niners are clicking on all cylinders, they are as dangerous and as good as anybody. Where'd you come out on this one, Vinny? 49ers -9.5. That's a big spread, and over under is 50.
Yeah, this is the game I'm not going to touch. I really wanted to take the under here, but I haven't believed in Green Bay, and they just keep proving me wrong. So I'm kind of afraid to bet this one, because I think San Francisco should, like you said about Houston and Baltimore, San Francisco should just pound them. I mean, Green Bay embarrassed Dallas, but they really had, Aaron Jones played a freak game, 3-touchdown game. Love could do no wrong, but also Dallas had a ton of miscues in that game with just receivers not being on the same page, where I think that would have, CD catches a couple of those balls that Dak just threw poorly, and it might be a different game. I don't think San Francisco is going to make that mistake, but I don't trust Purdy enough to do it, so I'm going to stay away.
I can't blame you. Yeah, Dallas. The other thing you got to mention about Dallas getting housed in the first round by Green Bay is that's Dallas's forte. They're good until it really matters, and then they fall apart. They choke. That's what Dak Prescott has always done, and that's what you love to see.
Yep.
So for me, I'll take that all into consideration. But like I said, I've seen the Packers quite a bit this year. I believe in them to cover this spread. I'm taking the Packers to cover 9.5. I do think San Francisco will win the game. I've got 2 green light bets here. 2 of my 4 bets are in this game. I'm going to take the Packers to cover the 9.5, and I'm going to take the under. You touched on the under. The over-under right now, I believe, is 50. And I have this game at 44. I got this game at about 24-21, 24-20, 49ers. I think this is going to be a little more of a dogfight versus a shootout. And I think Green Bay is going to hang in there to cover, but I don't think they're going to win. I think the Niners will be too much in the end. But I totally understand staying away from this game.
Yeah, it's San Francisco's secondary just kind of worries me with the way Green Bay was able to make all the broken plays last time of recording yesterday against, or 2 days ago against Dallas, like Romeo Dobbs just in the wide open in the back of the secondary. That's San Francisco's weakness, is their secondary, whereas like their front, they got a good defensive line, just like Dallas's defensive line's pretty good. So those long random touchdown passes worry me about Green Bay. That's why I don't really want to touch the over-under.
But would you be surprised if the Niners came out and just put them on the mat and beat them from the first minute? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised with that either.
No, definitely not. Really my reasoning for not playing it is just solely like I've been just completely wrong about Green Bay the second half of the year, and if I play the I feel like
man.
Right, and I feel like this is one of those games where I'd lose the under on a backdoor cover where it's like, it's like 35-17 with like 3 minutes left and Love leads a touchdown drive.
Yep.
And it's just like I can totally see that happening here where it's a garbage time touchdown, and I just don't want to touch it. But I do think San Francisco probably takes care of business here.
And as much as I just said, I wouldn't be surprised if San Francisco comes out and knocks them on the mat in the first round, to make a boxing analogy like you did. But I don't see it. I just think this is going to be back and forth a little bit. And Green Bay, hey, man, I hate Green Bay, and I hope they lose by 40. But they deserve to be here. This is a perfect example of a team who is peaking at the right time. And, they're playing good on both sides of the ball. Jordan Love has proved himself to be the starter for next year.
Yeah, I told my buddy at work that if they beat Dallas, I wouldn't say a bad thing about Jordan Love until next year. So
I'm not completely sold on him, to be honest, but he's definitely earned another year at least.
Oh, for 100%. Whereas the beginning of the year, I didn't think he was going to.
Yeah, dude, I was laughing at him at the beginning.
Yep, he 100% deserves it now.
I was posting, it's over, the blah blah blah, the same type of things I was posting about. What's his name? The Coug Hunter for the Jets. I was he looked so bad early on that it was like, this is another Coug Hunter, but now he's earned it, man.
Yep.
Congrats to the Packer fans out there. Let's go to my game that, again, I won't personally bet this game, but I do have a bet by my numbers, and I'm curious to hear what you think. Vegas has the Lions -6, 48.5. And just another moment for the Dan Campbell train coming through, the Brad Holmes train. The Lions did it, man. Any followers of this channel and people watching this video, congrats if you're a Lions fan. What a story. What a year. It's been fun. Hopefully it doesn't end here. And to be honest with you, it shouldn't end here. The Lions are a much better team than Tampa. But this is the playoffs, and it's all about momentum. Where'd you come out on this one, Vinny?
I like the under here, which I think is a little scary, seeing as both teams can put up a lot of points. I like the under here, and if I'm not sold on the Lions -6, they messed me up last week at the -3, but I think Tampa's got a good run defense, which I think is going to limit the Lions' running game, which is a big part of their offense. I don't think it will completely stop it, but also on the reverse side, Detroit's secondary is pretty good, and I don't think they're going to get the same type of wide open looks that they had last night against Philly. Detroit also tackles a lot better than Philly did last night. I mean, if they tackle like that, they're going to lose, but I don't think a lot of those. I mean, Tampa had like 100 yards after the catch in the first quarter. You're not going to win. Nobody's going to beat you if that happens. But I think Detroit's defense is a little bit better. So I think it's a little bit low scoring of a game.
Yeah, the Lions, the one MO about Dan Campbell is, and his coaching is, you've seen the biggest noticeable difference is they don't miss tackles. I mean, our guys are flying around like Scud missiles, and they're hitting people and they're hurting people to the point of being accused of being dirty at times, which maybe or maybe not, but they don't miss tackles. This team is playing like you said. Our defense, our secondary is pretty good, solid. And at the beginning of the year, they were terrible. Our defensive line, Aiden Hutchinson, is playing all world right now, and at the beginning of the year, he was rough because he didn't have teammates next to him pulling their weight. And you're right, man. The only thing that scares me is if Tampa slows down the run game and you put Jared Goff in a position where he has to throw downfield, and he's been great all year. But if they put the Lions into the situation where Goff has to dominate the game and put pressure on him, it's a little bit scary because Goff is not the best quarterback in the NFL under pressure. He can't move. That's his one. He's a statue back there. But you give him time when he's a god. I mean, honestly, I've watched every single snap this year. When he has time, there's nobody more precise and more impressive than Goff. But when he gets a lot of pressure, he is below average because he can't move.
Yep, and I just think they're like I'm gonna guess Laporta's probably gonna play this week.
Yeah,
I thought that was
he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good this week.
Yeah, he did. But like I think he was the only big name on offense that was like had anything really going into the playoffs. I just think they're going to be able to get the ball out quick, and Tampa was getting to Hurts last night, but it was also just awful play calling by Philly, where like I think that I don't know how many times they said it on the broadcast, like their receivers just weren't trying, like they were just running like curl routes. They weren't running slants or anything. They weren't running away from anybody. Whereas like you get Gibbs out of the backfield. St. Brown is, in my opinion, top 3 wide receiver in the league. Laporta is the top 3 tight end. Like I just think Goff's going to have options, and it's not like the Bucks completely stopped the Eagles' run game, or as the Eagles just stopped trying to run the ball. I mean, Swift had a couple nice runs last night of 5, 6, 7 yards. So I mean, I think the Lions are still going to be able to get a little bit of yardage on the run game. I just don't think you're going to see the 20, 30-yard runs that they've been able to do throughout the season.
And let's not forget, they're coming off their first playoff win in 32 years or whatever it was. That place is going to be burning to the ground in anticipation. Unbelievable wildness that our guy, Baker Mayfield, who, again, I've said it every week on this show, I've rooted for him all week. Obviously, I'm not going to this week. I don't think he's ready for what's going to be in that stadium. He's never seen it, trust me.
Yeah,
because that thing is going to be a volcano of noise and interruption. And these guys are going to be running through the wall for Campbell, dude.
Yeah, and he also, like, his road games, you look at his stats between his road and his home games, he was significantly better at home, and it was one of those, I feel like it's one of those things that not a lot of people were bringing up because Tampa was in the worst division. But, like, that was part of the reason that Tampa was kind of, like, had a legitimate shot last night against Philly, besides the fact that Philly was on a very big downward spiral, that they were home. I feel like Baker's averaging like near 300 yards at home, whereas on the road it's like a lot closer to 200. So there is a big difference between Baker at home and on the road.
And Baker's been he's been a good, solid quarterback. He's not elite, but he's been solid. And the Tampa Bay team around him has been good, man. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So what did you come out on this game as far as bets?
Under.
Run it back for me.
I'm gonna run the under. Yep, I'm gonna run the under.
Right. And for me, as much as I think, and my heart tells me, I think the Lions, and they're very capable, the Lions could blow them out. Let's be honest. I really think this could be a 38-10 type game, and I wouldn't be surprised. The Lions are that much better than them. However, the Lions are inexperienced and young in a lot of positions, a lot of key positions. Outside of Goff, their average age of their impact players are very young. I mean, our 2 or 3 best players on offense and defense are first and second year players. It's incredible. Outside of Goff, who's, he's 28 years old, 29, whatever he is. But
yep.
I think the Lions could blow them out. But I'm going to tell you right now, my numbers returned this, and I wasn't happy about it. The Lions are going to win 24-20 on my numbers, which means that you take the Tampa Bay Bucks to cover the 6. 6 is a tough number because I think that Tampa's a tougher team than most people give them credit for, but I do like the Lions are going to win, Tampa to cover, and I'm not touching the over-under because I had it at
44.
Yeah, I had it at 4. Yeah, I had it 44, and it's just a little too close. I mean, I don't know. That's my gut tells me, but I don't bet with my gut ever. In fact, I won't bet this game. I mentioned it at the top of this game. I'm not playing this game, but I think the numbers say to take the spread. Tampa's going to lose. Lions are going to win and go to the frickin' NFC title game. Let's go, but can't do it, baby. Can't do it. Won't bet it. Let's move to the final matchup. Sunday, late evening here. KC. This is a hell of a matchup. This is going to kind of Josh Allen, if you're home, if anybody's home and listening, it's your turn to turn this image around that you have, which, obviously I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. I think he is a freak show, huge talent. I'm rooting for him, to be honest. But man, if you got the best quarterback and best franchise of this generation coming into town, it's time for Josh Allen to get busy and show what he's got here. What are you going to do here, Vinny? Give me your opening thoughts. Obviously, they're both finished the year pretty strong. I think KC's on a downward spiral compared to Buffalo, who started the year on a downward spiral. But give me your opinion on this game.
I feel like this is going to be the game that whoever has the ball last is going to win. I think this is just going to be a dogfight. I think weather dependent on if you play the over under. I think it's Buffalo again. Could be a blizzard next week, but if it's a clear field, I can totally see this being a dogfight. With the 2.5 point spread, though, I feel like I would have said this either way. I'm gonna go with Kansas. I'm gonna go with Kansas City here. Bills are 2.5 point favorites, and I get they won by 3 earlier this year when they met, but I think Mahomes in the playoffs, Andy Reid in the playoffs. I think they're gonna show a little more than they did during the regular season, and I honestly don't trust Allen to put together 2 really good games in a row. And he had a really good game this past weekend against Pittsburgh. He hasn't had a 2-game stretch all season where he doesn't throw a pick. And he didn't throw a pick. He didn't throw a pick on Monday. So that tells me that Josh Allen's there's a very good chance Josh Allen is at least throwing an interception in this game. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to go with the underdog.
Or does Josh shift? I mean, this is where I'm at, man. I can't bet the spread because, again, just like some of these other games, man, you can't bet with heart. I really do want to see Josh win this game. I want to see Kansas City. Let's be honest, they've had their flowers, dude. They don't deserve it this year. They've had a rough year. I think they got a little bit of off-season work to do. Mahomes is still young and in his prime. They can win with Mahomes, obviously, for the next several years. But this is a bad team. This is a bad team in terms of Kansas City teams.
It is, but this Kansas City team, to put it into NBA perspective, reminds me of that last Golden State Warrior team that ended up winning the title a few years ago, where you had guys in and out of the lineup all year. And then finally for the playoffs, everybody was healthy. Everybody was starting to click. And honestly, earlier this season, they didn't have a number 1 receiver. That Rice kid is he's very good.
I don't think number 1.
Right. But he is his last, I don't know, 5-6 games, he is a lot better, and he has Mahomes definitely trusts him a lot more than he did earlier this year. I'm going to expect him to have 7-8 receptions in this game for 80-90 yards. I think that kid is going to be. I don't think he's a true number 1, but I think he's definitely better than I think he's been at any point. Right. But like he's also like I think Mahomes actually trusts him. I think that was the whole thing earlier this year. Mahomes had nobody else to trust, and he was forcing things to Kelsey, and Kelsey was just getting overworked. Last few games, like Rice has been getting a lot of volume. I mean, Kelsey still gets his fair share of volume, but like Mahomes is spreading the ball out a little more, and I think that's what makes them dangerous. Because if this team actually, if these other players step up, whereas the Bills, I mean, yes, they won yesterday, but I mean, Allen really willed them. I mean, Diggs did not really play great. You got the one touchdown there. I forget who their slot receiver is. What his name is, who broke the 2 tackles there and ran in for a touchdown. That was a great play. They're going to need plays like that from other people. And you had Allen's monster 52-yard run where like he's just not
he's a
like
freak, dude.
he is a freak. I feel like this Kansas City team is actually playing as a team right now, whereas the Bills are still as good as like it's just Josh Allen on offense right now. It is nobody. I mean, James Cook didn't really play great yesterday.
That's crazy because I think Cook looks like
he looks at times he looks very good.
I had him on my fantasy team, and I know that means nothing, but that means that I watched him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there was plenty of times this year that he was a fucking monster out there.
It is. There are. I just feel like those are.
He looks like he is, unstoppable. He looks like Melvin Cook in his prime.
He looks real. Like he does look. He looks really good when they give him the ball. I just feel like there's times though where it's just like the game, like the Bills' game plan at times. I feel like just becomes like let Josh try to do his thing, and he plays hero ball. And sometimes the hero ball works. It's worked the last 7 weeks for him. But like at the end of the day, like I feel like hero ball is not going to be an Andy Reid coach play right. And like
hero ball never worked for Michael Vick. It never worked for Cam
and like
Newton.
Yes, they won, but I mean like it was a 1 possession game in the 4th quarter against Mason Rudolph.
Yeah,
like are we
like
that?
Honestly, you want an insult, a major insult to Kansas City fans out there? I don't think Kansas City is much better than Pittsburgh. I think they're very similar. They're good. They're solid on both sides of the ball. Outside of Mahomes, the magician, Travis Kelce's a shadow of himself. And like you said, their best receiver, and no matter how good you rate him, is a rookie. And I think he's probably pretty good. I mean, he's definitely a piece that they can build with going forward. But man, I I can't bet this spread at all. Yeah. But I really hope Buffalo. For Josh Allen's sake, or else he's going to go down as like one of the biggest gag artists of all time.
I would love it. I would love it if they won. I would love it. Like I think it would be great. Yeah, I got a bunch of friends around here who are Bills fans. It's always, it's fun. I just feel like they are not I just feel like Kansas City defense is good enough to keep them in games. And I don't know, like, I feel like this is going to be a battle of the turnovers where whoever wins.
I do agree with you, by the way, Vinny. I agree with you about the last possession thing. And we know what happened last time these two teams played each other, last possession in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You had that.
And like
Josh Allen hero balled it down the field. And then Mahomes answered with, what was it?
13 seconds.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That team was better. But like, I just think this Kansas City defense, I think, is good enough to give Josh Allen fits. Josh Allen's thrown multiple interceptions in a bunch of games this year. He's only had 4. I believe last night was either the 4th or the 5th game all season he hasn't thrown an interception. So, like, I feel like if this Kansas City defense causes 1 or 2 interceptions, that's kind of been Buffalo's downfall this year. Is that, like, as good as Josh Allen is, he also turns the ball over, like, just as much as he scores touchdowns. And if this Kansas City defense can force 2 or 3 turnovers, like good luck trying to beat them, because that's where the Bills lose games. Or you look at the games that Josh Allen's won this year where he's looked really good. Like last night, he three touchdowns, like 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Great. Dolphins week 4, he had like 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. But like even some of the games during this winning streak, like I think he had 3 picks a couple weeks ago for like 161 yards. And like, yeah, they won, but like a performance like that is not going to get it done. Like Josh Allen needs to play like a top tier quarterback here to win. and he's been so inconsistent this season, even though he has a ton of touchdowns. The running game, I like, unless he's going to run for 150 yards, which he hasn't done yet. But like, I just don't see where he's going to put up one of those 3 touchdown, no interception games here against a good Kansas City defense.
Yeah, the one thing going for them and against KC is KC's never gone the path of road play to make it to the Super Bowl. In fact, Mahomes never played a road game in the playoffs before this year, but didn't hurt him last week. But dude, I really think that Buffalo could get it done. I'm not betting the spread, but I love the under. I think this game's going to be a dogfight, like you said. 20. I have this game at 23-16, 23-18, something like that, in favor of Buffalo's going to win. But that I wouldn't bet the spread for the life of me because of just a Mahomes factor. I mean, the kid's a freaking magician in the playoffs.
If the spread was the other,
go ahead.
Yeah, if the spread was the other way, where Kansas City was 2.5-point favorites, I totally would take Buffalo. I just think the at 2.5, like anything under a field goal, I feel like for spread is just like, if you think the underdog can win, you take the underdog, and that's kind of what
that means you're expecting somebody to be lining up for some 45. You're putting on the field goal kicker, and I do fully expect that, especially in Buffalo with gusting winds and 45 feet of snow and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I can't bet the spread. I do like the under, and I'm saying the under even if the weather isn't crazy. Obviously, if the weather is crazy, the under is even better. But I have it at like 41, 42 points.
Yeah,
and, Vegas has it at 46.
Yeah, and that's just one of those like, as much as like both teams have kind of not put up a ton of points this year, it's one of those things like I feel like I would not feel super confident of playing the under with playoff Mahomes and playoff Josh Allen, where like I think the last time they met in the playoffs it was like 40-38 or something.
Just remember
like
though,
that.
This Chiefs team has not scored like past Chiefs teams.
They haven't, but
far below actually. But
at the same time, they scored 20? They scored 26 against Miami, and I know Miami was another team that we said were frauds going into the playoffs.
I think these two teams are going to try to smash each other.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun game.
Oh yeah, all 4 of these games are going to be fun, man. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. I think the only blowout, hopefully the Lions, should be. I think the most likely blowout is the Lions. To be honest,
yeah,
I mean,
I agree with that
because I think that they're the team that outmatches the other team the most out of these 4 matchups. That's not saying they're the best team. That just means that Tampa might be the easiest matchup out of that group. But here we go to close it out, Vinny. This is Vegas as of this morning on DraftKings. Odds to win the Super Bowl. Clearly, the Niners are paying less than 2-1. So that is a huge, I guess what do you call it? A feather in their cap, whatever you want to call it. The Ravens are about 3-1.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason that the Niners dropped that low and that much of a favor as favorites is because Dallas and Philly lost.
Yeah.
Because their path got like, I know as much as like I want to see Detroit get out. I think Detroit, that would be a great story, and they're the likely team to do it. But like the Texans or the Bucks aren't beating San Francisco more than likely. So they just made their path a little easier, which is I think why the odds dropped.
Oh yeah, that's definitely why. I agree. Yeah, because I mean a hot Dallas offense is scary. I mean, they can score a lot of points. They're out, and you're right. Green Bay is not a team that's going to hang 50 on you.
Green Bay, not the Texans. Yeah, so it's just like that's. I think that's why San Francisco's odds dropped that low. I feel like I said it last week before the playoffs. I'm fully expecting the Super Bowl winner, if it's not San Francisco, to be an AFC team. Bills and Chiefs both have pretty good odds there. I think they were both like 9.
Believe it or not, either of those teams, that's fair odds, man.
Yeah, I think they were 9-1 last week going in. They play each other, so if you get that right, you got at least a shot there at the Super Bowl.
And to be completely honest with you, Vinny, I would put a line through the bottom 3.
Yep.
And the top 5 there, I think, are pretty damn even. Even my Lions, which I'm not saying that because I'm a Lions fan. I think they're that good. I can't see why the Lions are paying. I mean, from a betting perspective, 175 versus 900 to 1 is. I mean, of course, I would take the Lions in that because 172 to 1 on I'm not a Brock Purdy believer. I think he's fine.
Mhm.
I won't blame him for anything, but I mean, that is a team that has put all their marbles into a kid who has
Yeah,
a great
I
regular
agree.
season
And
player, just like
if you look,
Lamar.
yeah, if you look, there's 3, in my opinion, on this list. There's 3 teams that have elite quarterbacks, and you have a couple teams with some pretty good quarterbacks, and that's it. Like, I mean, like
Who's
you
your
got
elite
Al,
quarterbacks? I
you
want
got
to hear your
Allen,
three.
you got Allen, Mahomes, and then Lamar. I
Yep.
mean, I think like those are the top 3. You have those
I
all
would put
3 of
those
those.
3 above the Niners, to be honest. I know
Yeah,
the Niners team is better, but I don't love them
agree, and I
at
think the
this odds,
Niners.
especially.
I really think the Niners odds are this low because of the path that's now presented in front of them, where they play Green Bay. Like, yes, okay, Green Bay could shock the world again. Chances are they won't. So, like,
Right.
realistically, like, you're playing a wild card. Like, it's the 1 seed playing the 7 seed now in the divisional round. And if if the Lions are it's either the 3 or the 4 team they play, I believe, right? Yeah, because
Yeah.
Tampa was the 4. Tampa was the 4 seed.
Yeah,
So,
the
like, they
Lions
don't
would
have to get right. So they don't have to go through the 2 seed, basically, because Dallas choked. But I think that's why their odds are so low, is that they
they have a
their
clear
path,
path
right?
on paper.
Their path is clear. Whereas if the Ravens beat the Texans this week, which they should do,
They
they're
still gotta
playing the
beat the
winner of
Chiefs
right. They
or
play the
Buffalo.
winner of Mahomes and Allen. Like,
Yeah, they
that's a
have
tough
2
game
tough
no matter
games.
what.
I mean, if the Niners bowl over Green Bay, which they should, but I don't think they will, then they gotta. I think the Lions are the team that nobody wants to face in the NFC.
I agree.
But it's going to be fun, man. I'm excited. As a Lions fan, I'm excited, but also as just an NFL fan, because I think the only team, like I said, I would cross off the Bucks. Even if the Bucks somehow beat the Lions this week, they're out. They're not going to beat Green Bay or the Niners.
I would say the only team out of those bottom 3 that I think, like, you could put any money on is the Texans. Just because they are, I mean,
unknown.
The one, they're playing great right now, but 2, I mean, like, they are just rallied behind this. Like, I mean, Stroud is like the kid just steps up in moments, and like right now, I feel like that is the unknown team. Whereas, like, you kind of know what you're going to expect with Baker. You kind of know at this point what you expect with Love, even though Love kind of just keeps improving every week. But Stroud, man, he just makes, like, kids just making plays, and like that defense, like, you got a rookie head coach who, I mean, they really don't have a dog in the fight. They're just kind of there.
There's they really,
honestly,
like we talked about earlier, I really think they don't have
right.
They're playing that house money thing. They're playing the house money thing. Let's go in here and
right.
Pull a rabbit out of a hat type thing.
Right. Like, not saying I think they're gonna beat Baltimore, but like,
no.
If they did, would you be surprised if they could beat the Bills or the Chiefs the following week? I wouldn't.
No, dude.
So, like, I think that's like the only team, I think, out of those bottom 3 that, like, if you're
honestly, let me rephrase that. I would be surprised if they beat the Ravens, but if they beat the Ravens, then I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they could beat the next game with the Chiefs or Bills.
It's like
one of those, like, if the Ravens, then the sky's the limit for them.
Right. If you like playing long shots and, like, you're just trying to turn $5 into a couple, into a couple thousand, like,
hell yeah,
the Texans, I feel like, are the team there that makes sense. Yeah. So, like, that's the only long shot there I would touch. I couldn't touch.
And I think the Lions have a path. The Lions, to me, they should hammer Tampa. So the Lions just have to go in and have the day of their life and beat the Niners. Yes, it's a tall order, but I also like them at 9-1. That would be my bet. And I'm the furthest one to say my team, because I don't like to be I don't like to jinx it by saying, "Oh, we're gonna kick somebody's ass," but we should kick the shit out of Tampa, dude. That gives us just one big game.
I've played a couple future bets from the end of last year and a little bit this year. So like I have four of the teams that are still left.
Yeah, good.
For future tickets, and like the lowest one I have is at like 6-1. I have Baltimore at like 6-1 on one ticket. Everybody else, I have the Niners at like 9.5-1. I have the Chiefs at 12-1, and I think I have the Bills at like 14-1 on another ticket. Like just throughout the year, just playing, seeing who got hot. So I'm hoping I at least have a Super Bowl team in there, because that would be nice going into this. Going into the Super Bowl. I honestly, like, if the Niners made it, and then like the Bills, it was like Niners Bills, that would be great, because either way I'm going to make I would make money. So I'd be fine with that.
It's the Lions' year, baby. I'm hoping. I'm not going to get greedy and guarantee anything stupid. I'm nervous for him. I was nervous for him against Stafford. I think this is the week where I'm the most confident. They should win this game, guys. I mean, they're better than them. They beat them earlier in the year 20-6. They tampered in and scored a touchdown on us earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
We're better than them at every position. But it's the playoffs. Anything can happen. It's a one-game elimination, and thanks for coming if you lose. So, hey, Vinny, thanks for joining, man. This has been fun. I guess we'll come back next week with the Final Four and run it back and talk about, where we came in and where we came out. But so far, It's been a successful 2023/24 season. Please put in the comments where you're at with these teams. Tell us we're stupid. Tell us we're right. Where you agree and disagree. It's been fun, man. What a hell of a year for NFL football, huh?
Right. It's been fun. We'll have to find something to do in the once the season's over.
I know. We got a couple more weeks to enjoy. So everybody, thanks for watching, and peace on earth and mercy mild.